Thank you for tuning in today. We are discussing Silence Your Critics, secret number 1 from my book, Who Told You You Couldn't Be You? The 10 Secrets to Living the Authentic You. Are you your worst enemy? Do you sabotage your success because of internal critics such as doubt, fear, or comparing yourself to others? Or how about external critics? Do you have someone in your life, past or present, that may have given opinions of you or advice to you that may have negatively set you back? Well, today we're going to discuss silencing those critics so you can move forward into the authentic you that you were created. And today we have our guest, Jeannea Spence, and she is with indiSPENCEable Coaching. She's a leadership development coach as well as a owner of her own coaching and training business. She has numerous experience with training, sales, advertising, and client relations. So we are happy to have her as a guest with us today. So welcome, Jeannea.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Jeannea, I know it has not been always easy for you. You're successful now. So in regards to internal critics, has there been a time or an event that could have caused you to move back in your success due to your own self-criticism?
It's funny, when I was reading the first chapter of the book and I was thinking about how people all my life said to me, "You're so hard on yourself, you shouldn't be so hard on yourself," and I didn't get that. And once I finally went through coaching school and did a little personal development work, I got it. And I call that a gremlin. It's called a lot of different things, a saboteur. I'm sure you've read a lot of the positive intelligence literature, but yeah, that little gremlin can cripple you and keep you from doing all the things that you want to do, for sure.
Right.
Something specific, I remember about 4 years ago, I guess, when I decided that I wanted to move from Atlanta. I wanted to move into Richmond, create a community, start a business. I've been in sales for 15 years, and I'm making all these major life changes, and there was a little voice in my head that was saying, "I don't know why you think you can do this. You're a salesperson. You can't do this."
Right.
You're getting ready, you're 40-something years old, and you're getting ready to change your whole career. 40-year-old people can't do that. So it's the limiting beliefs more than anything else that I have to go, wait a minute, that's not true. It happens all the time, and I can do it, and I'm going to do it.
That's great. Now, how did you move past that?
Well, coaching. Not only am I a coach, I work with a coach too, but I've learned how to, if I feel a shift in my mood, like if I'm feeling really great and all of a sudden I just feel a little dip, I know it's because I'm thinking something that's not helpful.
Right.
So I've learned to just stop and go, all right, what were you thinking? And when I identify that, get that kind of self-awareness, I can reframe it. And that's part of what I help my clients do too. But, like I just said, that's not true. People do it all the time, and I'll make myself remember examples of other people who have done it. And somehow it just brings that energy level back up.
Excellent.
And can keep going.
Excellent. It's almost like you practice what you preach.
Yes, one would hope.
Yes, exactly. So now we talked about internal critics. I wanted to go to more external critics. In regards to external critics, has there been a time where a person's words that were stated to you, maybe well-meaning, where you had to respectfully move those out of your head so you can move forward in your career success?
I can think of literally hundreds of times. I've been really lucky, and I've had a lot of people in my path who were very supportive. All the way back to 4th grade.
Excellent.
And for me, they've always been really strong women, which I think is interesting. But I'll never forget this as long as I live. I was a senior in high school and was talking to the guidance counselor. It was a little different than that it is now, but I just went in to talk to her about what kind of track I wanted to take in college, and I'll never forget her saying, "Well, I don't know that it really matters that much, because women typically are nurses and secretaries," and I just remember thinking, have you met me?
Right.
No, that's not happening.
That's
And
right.
it did, for a minute, it made me think, well, my mom never worked outside the house. It's the time in which I was born. I graduated from high school in 1980, but things really started changing very rapidly.
Right.
I didn't even go to college right out of high school. I listened to that a little bit. I listened to the women are supposed to get married and have children, and that's a great path if that's what you want.
Right.
But I wanted to do something different. Didn't take me long to get back on the path, but it did waylay me for just a little bit.
Right.
And I can also think of another time, recently, frankly, it's very recently, a client that I was working with who, well, we were having a meeting once, and he said, "You're such a strong-minded woman." And it took me a minute to realize he meant that not as a compliment.
Right,
Not
right.
as a compliment at all.
Right.
I had opinions that were different from his.
Right.
And actually the contract didn't work out. I ended up letting that go because at this point in my life I'm really clear about my values and what I want to do. And that's not a failure to me. That's just an opportunity to fine tune who I want to work with and who I don't.
Right.
But I remember how funny it was when it hit me. Oh, he doesn't mean that as a compliment.
Right, right.
I'd take it as a badge of honor, but
Right.
he didn't mean it that way.
Right. But you seem to have pushed past those obstacles and not letting anybody typecast you into any role, but you set that role for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's just very impressive that you were able to silence those critics.
Oh, thank you, but I don't want to pretend that it was easy.
Right.
You know, at this point in my life and at this, you know, I'm in my 50s, so,
Right,
you know,
right.
there's a lot of wisdom and maturity that comes with that. My 20s were hard.
Right,
You know, they were very hard. I have learned that my number one saboteur is people pleasing.
Mhm.
It's not as big of a problem as it used to be,
Right.
but if I were in a relationship or if I had a great friendship or if I worked with someone and they didn't think that's what I should do,
Right.
I would go their direction,
Right,
not my
right.
direction. So I learned a lot from not being true to myself
Right.
and
right.
not being who I was born to be authentically.
Absolutely.
That's kind of typical though, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
right. But you definitely have shown today that you know how to silence critics, and I'm so glad to have
As
you
you
here.
see from Jeannea today, she has silenced her critics, not after some difficulty in just getting through those years, but you can do the same and become successful. And that's what we would like you to do. You can pick up a copy of Who Told You You Couldn't Be You at barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. And we just thank you for tuning in today.